Hey fam, Master Coach G here, thriving after 50, mind, body, soul. And in this episode, I am going to be talking about self-awareness to our unhealthy habits. Now, I feel that this is a very important conversation to have because self-awareness around our unhealthy habits isn't about blame. It's about being honest. Many people live with chronic symptoms that feel like you can't get rid of them. So in this episode, I'm going to cover our unhealthy habits and how they go unexamined. We need to pay more attention to our habits because it's what's fueling our chronic illnesses. This is Master Coach G, and I will see you on the inside. Hey fam, Master Coach G here, thriving after 50, mind, body, soul. And in this episode, I am talking about self-awareness to our unhealthy habits. It's really important that we have this conversation because self-awareness around our health isn't about blame. It's about being honest with yourself. Many people live with chronic symptoms that they just feel like, hey, this is life. This is what I got to live with. When in reality, it's being fueled by our daily habits that go unexamined. We don't spend enough time looking at our daily habits because that is what causes us to deal with the chronic illnesses. Here's the thing, not all chronic illnesses are preventable. Some are genetic, autoimmune diseases, trauma, and accidents. Those things are real, and I get that. But a large portion of our long-term pain, fatigue, inflammation, metabolic problems are lifestyle-driven. So here are some things that I want us to be aware of. The habit symptom loop. And it is a loop. It's like being on a treadmill or a hamster wheel. It just keeps going around and around and around, and it's the same thing. So that's a loop, okay? Most people focus on the symptoms and not the cause. Not only does most people focus on the symptoms, but so does the doctors. If you go into the doctor and you say, oh, I have a headache, they're going to focus on the headache. Or if you say, then they're going to run testing and say, oh, well, your blood pressure is high or whatever the case may be. Instead of focusing on the symptoms, you should be focusing on the cause. What's causing you to have a headache? What's causing you to feel faint? What's causing you to the symptoms that you're having? What's causing them? Okay, so we're going to look at things like chronic fatigue. If you have chronic fatigue, then most people will drink more caffeine, which makes your sleep worse, which deepens your fatigue. It doesn't help. Joint pain, which means you're going to move less. It's going to weaken your muscles, which is going to give you more pain. Okay, if your digestive system is out of sort, then you're eating more processed food for convenience. You're going to cause more inflammation. So let's get to the root cause of it. The stress, poor coping habits, your hormonal imbalance, which creates more stress. These are the things that we have to be aware of because we need to fix that part of it. I was sharing with my husband the other day about how people don't like to get to the root of things. Okay, getting to the root of what's causing your headaches, getting to the root of what's causing you to gain the weight. Okay, it's a hormonal thing. You have a hormonal imbalance. You have to get to the root of it. And the reason why I think people don't like to get to the root, because it takes work. Okay, so let's say, for instance, if you have this big old oak tree in your yard or somewhere that you pass by every day, the taller the tree, the deeper the roots, right? So the problem is that people don't want to get to the root because it takes work. So in order for you to get to the root of that, tall oak tree, you have to dig, and you have to dig deep to get to the root. You're not going to just get to the root on the surface. And most people don't want to work. But it takes work to live a holistic lifestyle and to pay attention to our unhealthy habits. It takes work. So without the awareness, the loop feels like this is just who I am. This is just my body now. I can't do anything about it, which is not true. So that's what the loop is all about. So we gotta pay more attention. Okay. Comfort can be more dangerous than pain. Because if you get comfortable with the pain, then guess what? You're just gonna live with the pain. Unhealthy habits often feel comforting in the moment. Okay, it's like, and what I mean by that is, let's say you have arthritis in your knee and you have swelling. Okay, being still seems like it's more comfortable than dealing with the pain of moving it. It's just like when people have to go to therapy. Oh, it hurts. Yes, but it's making you better. Okay, so instead of moving, you're sitting. Okay, the same thing with eating for relief instead of nourishment. Avoiding the hard conversations, and this is a hard conversation. This is not anything easy because most people don't want to hear this, but paying attention to our habits is vitally important for us to live a life of wellness. It is. Staying in an environment that keeps you tense, that's another thing. Self-awareness asks the hard questions. The hard questions like, is this helping me or is this healing me? Okay. And yeah, it can be uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable having those kind of conversations, but radical honesty beats motivation. You don't really need motivation. What you need is to be completely honest with yourself so that you can be able to improve the things that you need to do. So here's some examples of being honest with yourself. If you say, I eat healthy, but most of my calories come from packaged food, which means you're eating processed food, okay? Or you're saying, oh, I'm too tired to exercise, but you're scrolling on your phone for hours. You're not too tired to scroll on your phone, but you don't want to get up and take a 15, 20-minute walk, okay? Or if you say to yourself, the stress is unavoidable, but you don't set boundaries. So you see that's why we have to pay attention to our habits. That's why it's so important. Self-awareness isn't harsh. It's precise. It's very precise, okay? And our body keeps receipts, okay? Our body has a memory of its own. Your body responds to what you do consistently. Not what you intend to do. If you say, oh, I'm going to go work out, that's an intention. Okay, your body is going to respond to consistency. I was on a call on last night with a group of some people that I work with, and I was sharing with them about my story and how I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, high A1C, and I was 120 pounds overweight. And I was sharing with them how the consistency of walking, yes, it took time. It took 14 months, 14 months for me to lose the weight. And that was 14 years ago. But the consistency of me walking every single day is what got me to the place of where I am right now. Okay. So the body keeps record. So even though, that was 14 years ago, I'm still being active. I'm still going to the gym 5 days a week because I need to keep that consistency going, and not just with my exercise, but with my sleep and my hydration and my, my food intake as well. Sleep is very important. We want to be able to eliminate the inflammation in our bodies. We lose muscle faster than what we think. Okay, that's because our body keeps a receipt. We're not moving. Stress hormones don't care about your reason for being stressed out. The stress hormone is going to show up. So that's why we have to pay attention to our symptoms. We have to pay attention to not just acknowledge the symptoms, but we have to get to the bottom of it so we can get to the cause. What's causing this symptom? Not just, oh, I have this symptom, I'm going to the doctor. What's causing you to have that symptom? Okay. And I want to say this. We have to take responsibility without shame. We have to understand that taking responsibility does not mean that it's your fault. It doesn't mean that you deserve it. It doesn't mean that you know better, which we do. However, it's not about the shame. It's not about the blame game, okay? It means that some of this is in my control, that we can make small changes, more than drastic ones. See, here's the thing. You go to the doctor, they give you a diagnosis. People want to do 100 things at one time. No. What you want to do is you want to make small changes that matters more than the drastic ones. You can't sit here and say, "Oh, I'm gonna start going to the gym." Well, if you've never gone to the gym, do you honestly think you're gonna just start going to the gym just because? No, that's not gonna happen. So what you have to do is okay. Here's an example, and this is a podcast for people that's over 50. So when I say this, you all will be able to relate to this. Remember years ago when we were younger, we had record players. We had the records. The record player. You put the record on the turntable, and you put the needle on the record, and it plays. And you be jamming to the record. Well, what you have to do is you have to interrupt the pattern. So I'm gonna use the record as an example. You know how we put the record? I mean, we would blow the dust off the record, wipe it down very gently because we didn't want to scratch the record. Okay, we wanted the record to be able to play, so we didn't want a scratch, and that's called an interruption of the pattern. The record has a pattern, but what we have to do with our unhealthy habits, we have to interrupt the pattern. So if you took a knife and you scratched that album, you're interrupting the pattern on that album. That's what we have to do with our unhealthy habits. We have to interrupt the patterns because everything that we do is a pattern. Everything that we do is a pattern. Self-awareness questions worth sitting with. Okay? So when you ask yourself questions, be clear. Okay? And if the answer is no, that's clarity, and clarity is power. So if you want to, we can talk about like your specific habits, that's tied to common chronic issues, or how to build awareness without an obsession, which means, you want to build better habits, but you're not overly obsessed with, going to the gym or doing all this other stuff all at one time. We want to understand why people resist seeing the connection. Okay, that's one thing that we need to pay very close attention to, because people resist seeing the connection. We have to be able to see the connection of our unhealthy habits. We gotta connect that. It's like connecting the dots. Once you connect the dots, then you have a whole picture. So we have to be able to see that. Okay. And how we start to change unhealthy habits without burnout. Because what people will do is they will start something and then they'll get tired of it, okay? But improving unhealthy habits isn't about overhauling your whole life at one time, okay? It's the approach that approach usually fails. If you're trying to overhaul your whole entire life all at one time, it's not going to work, because it's too overwhelming, okay? It's about seeing clearly, choosing fewer things, and doing them consistently. Just as I was talking about the consistency of me changing my life after I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, I made gradual changes. I started off with walking. Then I went to my sleep patterns. Then I went to what I eat, and not necessarily in that order, but we have to be able to do that because that's what grounds us, okay? And it works. It absolutely works. The first thing we have to do, though, is start with observation. We have to start with observation and not change, okay? So what I mean by that is, for 1 week, don't fix anything. Don't fix anything. Just sit back and notice what you're eating most days, when you sleep and wake up, how much you move, how much water you drink, what's draining your energy, what soothes you, what makes you feel better, those kind of things. So for a whole week, don't make any changes. Just pay attention. Pay attention to your body. Pay attention to your habits. That's where it all starts, right there, okay? Write down, keep a notepad, pay attention to your patterns, because they become so obvious. And then, and another point, stop defending them. Stop defending your bad habits. Stop defending your patterns. Pay attention to your patterns so that you can know what patterns are causing your chronic illnesses, okay? Link the habits to the symptoms. You got to link the habits to the symptoms. So ask yourself one simple question. What might this habit be contributing to? Okay, so it's like I always tell people, every time you eat and drink, you are either feeding a disease or you're fighting a disease. That's what you have to be aware of. And that's just with your eating habits. Because if you're having poor sleep, you got brain fog, whether it's cravings, anxiety. If you're sitting for a long period of time, it's going to cause stiffness, whether it's in your hips or your back. High sugar levels is what causes inflammation. Yeah, you may have a burst of energy, but you're going to crash. You're going to crash and burn, okay? So, plus you're going to have the inflammation, which is not healthy for you at all. So that's why we have to pay attention to our habits. So if you have constant stress, you're probably going to have headaches, you're going to have gut issues, you're going to have a low immune system. So that's why it's so important for us to pay attention to our patterns. Because when we pay attention to our patterns, then we can focus on what's causing the issue, what's causing the headache. Don't just go and take Tylenol. Don't just go and take Advil. What's causing you to have the headache? Get to the root of it, then fix that part, okay? Pick one habit that gives you the biggest return, okay? So don't start with 5 changes. Start with one that affects everything else, okay? High impact habits like your consistency in your sleep, your daily movement, whole foods with protein, regulating your stress levels. Okay, if you fix your sleep, your eating and your mood will often improve, almost guaranteed. See, fixing the problems improves things, and that's what you want to do. So if you move daily, your pain and energy often shifts. Okay, now I'm not saying it's going to happen right away, but you will see the improvements. And that's the thing. See, I'm giving you this information because I want you to have transformation. So if you're eating real food, then your cravings are going to calm down. You're not going to be craving fried chicken all the time. Okay, so, and I'm not saying that fried chicken is not real food. I'm just saying that, number one, if you're eating it all the time, it's not healthy. Okay, that's number one. Okay, you can make healthy habits easier than having unhealthy habits. It's just really a matter, and it's not about willpower. It's about design. Design matters more. So when you do things by design, like on purpose, intentional, then that's where you're going to see your results, okay? You want to move more. If you want to move more, then lay your stuff out at night. I lay out my clothes. I've been going to the gym for years. And every single night, I lay out my clothes, my tennis shoes, my undergarments, my, whatever it is that I'm going to be wearing to the gym the next day. It's all laid out the night before. So when I get up, I already know that I'm going to be going to the gym. I already know what I need to do in the morning. Okay. Think about what it is that you can eat better. Cut out the junk food, cut out the sodas and the sugar. Okay. Just don't buy it. Don't bring it in the house. Okay. If you want to improve your sleep, set a bedtime. My bedtime is 8:00. I shut everything down at 7. I'm getting in a relaxed state of mind, relaxing my body. Put your phone outside of the room so you don't be sitting there scrolling for hours. Because, I take the hour before my bedtime, which is 8:00. I take an hour, 7:00 is my time to reflect on my day, to get rid of all the thoughts that's in my mind of the things that I didn't do, to carry them over to the next day. But that's really important is in reference to your sleep. Learn how to reduce your stress. Schedule some quiet time. Make an appointment with yourself. it's important that we do that. And see, that's why we need to examine what it is that we're doing on a daily basis, examine our habits, examine our patterns, because our patterns don't lie. Our patterns don't lie. Our patterns is what creates the unhealthy habits. So that's why we need to pay attention to our patterns. If unhealthy options are easier, then you need to shift that, okay? Shrink the habits until you feel it's easier, okay? Consistency beats intensity, okay? You don't have to be so intense to the point where you feel like, oh, I just gotta. No. One thing at a time. The first thing you need to do is observe your habits. That's the first thing. Then you can start, being consistent, like daily movement, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes a day. Just start somewhere, one balanced meal a day, earlier times to go, just one day a week to say, you know what, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to try this, setting a bedtime schedule and being in bed at a certain time of the night. Just try it one day a week. And then continue to grow that, okay? The boundaries, that's why people are stressed out, because they don't have boundaries in place. Set boundaries, okay? Small habits rebuild trust in yourself. And it's important that we examine our habits so that way we can improve them. Because when we improve our habits, we're going to improve our health, okay? Replace them. Don't just remove them, because if you try to remove them, and trust me, it's not going to work. So replace an unhealthy habit with a healthy habit on purpose. Okay. Ask, what does this habit give me? And then replace it with, if you have a stressful eating habit, then do some walking, breathing, deep breathing exercise, journaling, get off the phone, that late night scrolling, instead of doing that, do some reading or stretching or listening to some calming music, okay? Skipping meals, I don't recommend that. I always recommend that people eat at least three meals a day with 3 snacks in between. Breakfast a snack, lunch a snack, dinner a snack, something healthy, a piece of fruit or something of that nature, okay? And if you remove being comfortable with replacing it with a habit, you'll see a difference, okay? Track your behavior, not the outcomes, okay? That's important, to track what it is that your patterns are. Don't be obsessed with the overweight, the pain, or the lab results, okay? Track how you're moving on a daily basis. Track how your sleeping was. Did you sleep well last night? Prepare your meals. When I say prepare your meals, like, your menu for the week. Do that, so that way you'll have an idea of how you're going to be eating and what you're going to be eating. Because once you do that, then you'll be able to see a difference in your weight. Stress management. Okay, set boundaries. Let people know, especially if the saying yes all the time. You got to set boundaries, because you can't say yes to everything. Okay, and you'll see that your health is going to improve. Okay, now you can expect some resistance. I'm sorry, you can expect some resistance, because but understand this: it's not failure. Your brain likes what's familiar. Your brain likes the familiar patterns. It's like the record on the record player. It's the same thing. There's no scratching. You done blew off all the lint and all the little particles off the record. So it's the same thing. Your brain likes familiar. When you want to play your record, and I see that record players are actually coming back in style, but when you play your records, you'll be able to see the consistency of the record. Okay. If it has a scratch, you're gonna notice that too. Okay, so and that's what we need to do, because again, our brain does like familiar patterns, but we need to it even likes the unhealthy ones, because that's just where we are. Resistance doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that you're changing something real. Okay, So, but when you slip, notice it. Pay attention. It's like, oh, I said I wasn't going to eat this week, but you did. But it's okay. Just notice that you did. Adjust the environment that you're in. So if you are used to bringing home Ruffles, because that was my favorite thing, Ruffles and Milk Duds or whatever it is that you like, adjust your environment. Don't buy those things. Don't put them on your grocery list. Don't even go down the aisle in the grocery store, okay? And then restart again, okay? Because you don't want to just say, oh, well, I wasn't able to do it. No punishment is required, okay? One question to guide every decision, okay? You don't need perfection. You need awareness. You need patience. And you need discipline, okay? So if you want, you can build a simple habit, a habit plan for your situation. And if you need help with that, get in contact with me. I will be able to help you to build a simple plan that's going to help you to get on and stay on track, okay? Connect specific habits and that are causing you to have the chronic issues, okay? Break the emotional dependency of the unhealthy patterns, okay? Create a realistic daily routine that definitely improves your quality of life, okay? When we pay attention to our unhealthy habits, we are saying to ourselves, I want a better lifestyle. I want to live a better lifestyle so that I can feel better and know that my habits are good. And you can you can flip the script, you can make a shift from unhealthy to healthy habits. It's about the patterns. We got to pay attention to our patterns. Once we are aware, then we can do better. I think Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. So when you know better, you do better. So we got to pay attention to our habits. And once we see what our habits are, then we start making improvements so that we can see and live a better quality of life. Hey, that's what I have for you today. Thank you for spending time with me. If this episode has blessed you, please share it with someone who is on their wellness journey as well. But before I get out of here, I got to give a shout out to my listeners around the world. Here in the United States, Canada, Australia, Russia Federation, China, Mexico, Belgium, Ireland, South Africa, Brazil, Nigeria, United Kingdom, Germany, France, Bangladesh, Ukraine, Kuwait, India, Hong Kong, Dominican Republic, Philippines, Barbados, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Japan, Indonesia, Pakistan, Portugal, Netherlands, Singapore, Peru, Samoa, Finland, UAE, Lithuania, Chile, Denmark, Vietnam, Switzerland. I appreciate each and every one of you joining me today here on Thriving After 50. Until the next time, keep shifting your mind, caring for your body, and nourishing your soul. I'm Master Coach G, and I will see you on the next level.